In the quiet hills of Oru, where the sun dipped low behind ancient trees and the evening wind carried whispers of forgotten tales, love bloomed like the hibiscus in harmattan. The village stood still in time, anchored by tradition, stories passed from tongues to hearts, and the sacred bond between lovers. But love, in its purest form, is often tested by the very things meant to protect it. Abeni, daughter of Chief Obadil, was the heartbeat of Oru. With her soft gaze and voice like gentle rain on thirsty soil, she moved through the village like poetry in motion. People admired her not just for her beauty, but for the wisdom tucked beneath her modesty and the strength hidden in her silence. Her spirit was unshaken, even under the weight of royalty. She was promised by heart, not by arrangement, to Is, a warrior whose name echoed across the land like thunder. His heart fought for Oru's peace, carrying scars like medals, returning from battles with his honor intact and his love for Abeni untouched. They had loved each other long before they knew what love meant. From childhood laughter under the Odin tree to stolen glances during moonlit dances, they had grown together, roots of the same tree, hearts carved into the same bark. Everyone saw it. Everyone believed it. But peace does not last in stories meant to challenge the soul. The elders, in a bid to protect Oru from the growing threat of the neighboring Ij clan, sought alliances through marriage. They summoned Is, offering him not only a title but the hand of Princess Adogo of Ij, a union that would guarantee security, trade, and peace. It was a choice between love and duty. And Is, who once swore his soul to Abeni under the stars, hesitated. He did not tell her. He could not. But silence is its own betrayal. Abeni knew before he spoke. She saw it in his eyes, in how his embrace lingered like a goodbye, in the words he left unsaid. She waited for him to come to her, to choose her, to fight as he had fought so many battles before. But days turned into weeks, and the man who once ran through fire for her now walked on eggshells around her presence. It was during the Festival of Unity that the truth revealed itself. The entire village gathered in celebration, drums echoing like heartbeats, children laughing with sugar-stained cheeks, elders blessing the earth with wine and prayer. Abeni moved through the crowd, searching for him, hoping, praying it was a misunderstanding. That he had not agreed. But then, she saw them. He stood beside Adogo, dressed in regal red, his hand brushing against hers, eyes cast downward in quiet submission. Adogo wore pride like a crown, her gaze scanning the crowd with entitlement. When her eyes met Abeni's, she did not flinch. She smiled. Abeni's words spun. The air turned cold. The music faded. Her chest ached not from heartbreak, but from the betrayal of being unseen, unheard, unchosen. She did not cry, not there, not then. Instead, she turned away, walking through the festival with grace, as though her heart was not cracking with each step. That night, beneath the Odin tree, she carved nothing. She simply sat, waiting for a man who no longer belonged to her. Is came, hours later, his face stained with conflict, his breath laced with guilt. I didn't want this, he said, kneeling beside her. But you chose it, she replied, her voice soft but cutting. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I did it for Oru. For our people. A bitter smile played on her lips. And what of us? Were we not part of Oru? Is looked away. The silence between them was loud. I loved you, she whispered. I still do. No, Is. You loved me when it was easy. When it was just us and the stars. But love, true love, it doesn't vanish at the first test. She stood, her eyes glistening but dry. You broke a promise that was never spoken, but always known. And I will carry its pieces for the rest of my days. He did not stop her as she walked away. The wedding was held weeks later. Oru celebrated. The drums beat. But for Abeni, the sound was hollow. She left the village days after, choosing exile over a life haunted by memories. She traveled to distant towns, healing through storytelling, her voice strong, her spirit healing with each word. Is remained in Oru, a prince with no joy, a warrior turned shadow. He fulfilled his duty, protected the land, but every victory felt like a loss. Adogo, though powerful, never filled the space Abene once occupied. Their union bore no love, only formality. Years passed. News reached Abene that Chief Obodil had fallen ill. She returned briefly, not as a princess, but as a woman who had found strength through pain. The village watched as she walked the same paths she once danced through, now more poised, more whole. She visited the Odin tree one last time. There, she found a carving she never saw before, faint, almost erased by time. I still choose you. Always. Is. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not for what was lost, but for what was once beautiful. As she left Oro again, this time for good, she did not carry pain. She carried peace. And that peace, born from a love lost but never forgotten, would live in her voice, in the stories she shared, in the strength she became. Thank you for watching this Afritale story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves powerful African tales.